Welcome to Capital City News, your connection to Salt Lake City government. I'm your host, Poonam Kumar. Today we'll talk to Dan Bergenthal about pedestrian hawk signals in Salt Lake City. And our History Minute this week is about the Stockade on Regent Street. But before we check out what's been going on, let's start off with our legislative update. At the February 24th City Council meeting, the Council discussed how best to preserve the long-term viability of the city's golf courses, and then sent their proposed options to the Mayor's office. Some courses could be closed. The Council also suggested that the city initiate a bond proposal asking voters to support comprehensive improvements to regional trails and open space, including the transitioning of the closed golf courses. The Council also discussed extending the Mayor's proposed Hive Pass program, which would offer affordable monthly transit passes to city residents. Mayor Becker and Transportation Director Robin Hutchison unveiled the new face of city parking meters. City officials responded to issues raised by users and executed upgrades that include a new keypad and easy-to-use interface, improved lighting, and much faster and reliable payment processing times. They also announced a new pay-by-phone application. The Mayor's Office of Diversity and Human Rights and the Salt Lake City Police Department hosted a series of dialogues with the community on the use of force. Salt Lake City Police Chief Burbank, Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill, and others participated, including representatives from the ACLU and the Civilian Review Board. The dialogue was a chance to invite the community to offer input about what the police department could do better regarding the use of force. The last dialogue will be held on March 18th at 6 p.m. at the Sorensen Unity Center. Last year, the city held a public meeting to get feedback on the Wasatch Hollow Preserve restoration plan. Major restoration activities on the preserve will begin this spring. Some of the improvements include a pedestrian rail car bridge across Immigration Creek, invasive tree species removal and planting of non-invasive species, and interpretive signs. Members of the City Council and Mayor's administration recently toured the preserve. The target date for completion is this fall. At the National League of Cities event in Washington, D.C., Mayor Becker spoke about the challenges faced by municipal leaders across the country and how they can work better with the federal government. He was then given the honor to introduce President Obama. The President of the United States then announced programs that would help the federal government work together with cities like Salt Lake. Pedestrian safety is important to us, and the city has a number of ways to ensure that. One of the most popular is the hawk signal. Now we'll talk to Dan Bergenthal, Salt Lake City's Trails Coordinator, to tell us more about how to use them.
My name is Dan Bergenthal. I work for the Salt Lake City Transportation Division. We are standing on 2nd South by the Capitol Theater, which is about 50 west. The hawk signal here was placed here because of the amount of pedestrian traffic we have here crossing to the Capitol Theater mostly. A hawk signal benefits pedestrians by providing a red traffic signal. It stops traffic, requires them to stop. It's much better than a yellow flasher, which we have in other places around downtown. The yellow flashers are warning flashers and warn the motorist that a pedestrian may be crossing. It doesn't actually require them to stop unless they really need to. The red signal here does require them to stop. We really like them because they add an element of safety for pedestrians. Obviously, it'll stop the traffic and allows the pedestrians to cross. At the same time, it helps benefit vehicles as well because it doesn't hold them up as long as the standard traffic signal does. Because at a standard traffic signal, as long as it's red, you have to sit there and wait, even if there's no pedestrians in front of you. This type of signal, once it starts flashing red, if there's no longer a pedestrian in front of you, then you can proceed. For pedestrians, there's no learning curve at all, really. It works just like any other traffic signal. But for car drivers, we do have a sign up there that explains what you're supposed to be doing. I think some of them get a little confused when it starts flashing red. They don't know what that means, but that simply means it works like a stop sign. And you'll see commonly red flashers associated with stop signs in some locations. So it flashes red, it's a stop sign. You come up, you stop. If there's no one in front of you, then you can proceed. Yeah, I think it does work really well in Salt Lakes due to the length of our blocks. People a lot of times just aren't willing to walk to the end of the blocks because they are so long. And so by having these mid-block, it really makes the area much more pedestrian friendly.
And now it's time for our History Minute.
In the 1870s, Commercial Street, which we know of today as Regent Street, was the heart of Salt Lake City's red light district. It flourished in that location for more than 30 years, despite frequent raids by the police. It was in the early 1900s that Salt Lake City Mayor John Bransford proposed to the City Council that they create a formal registration for the women who worked there, charge them fines of $10 a month each, and that they build a dedicated building for the red light district in a different part of town. The City Council agreed, and they went to work constructing what they called the Stockade and retained the services of Dora Topham, who went by the name of Madam Belle London, to oversee operations. On December 18, 1908, and at a great expense to city taxpayers, construction of the stockade was completed on Block 64 between 1st and 2nd South and 5th and 6th West. Women operating on Commercial Street were forced to ply their trade at the new location immediately or face arrest and fines. The red light district operated on the west side at that location until 1911, when Madam London quit after a run-in with the law. The red lights went out and the building was soon torn down. Women operating from the stockades soon returned back to Commercial Street, and business resumed normally, much to the dismay of city officials.
That's it for this week's Capital City News, your connection to Salt Lake City government. Be sure to tune in next time to keep up to date on what's happening in the city. For SLC TV, I'm Poonam Kumar.